everybody, this is Lana Michelson from LanaMichelson.com, and this morning I woke up to two great questions from one of my students in my courses on Udemy. Now, first of all, let me just say I love when people ask me questions, because for me, I've been in this world for already almost 12 years, and everything to me seems like, well, of course so simple, because I already understand it, but I forget sometimes how it used to be difficult for me 12 years ago when I first started, and I had no idea what the people were talking about, and to me it sounded like total Chinese. Now it doesn't anymore. So if I ever say things that sound like Chinese to you, I really appreciate it when you alert me to that so that I can then explain myself, because my point of view here is to really help you guys and make you guys make the most of your lives like I'm making the most out of my life. So the question that came up today was, number one, tapping in the heat of the moment. When do you tap in the heat of the moment? How often do you tap in the heat of the moment? And my general answer is, you tap in the heat of the moment every time that you get stirred, every time that you get triggered. Now here's the important thing. When you tap in the heat of the moment, you're not doing a deep tap, getting down to the core issue. What you're actually doing is breaking it. Like, let's say, imagine you have a tabletop and it's standing on 4 legs. And each of those legs represents all the proofs at the tabletop. And the tabletop represents your belief, or the tabletop represents what you think is going to happen, which is the belief, basically. Okay, so you have the belief, which is the tabletop. You have the legs, which are all the proofs. And the proofs include all the memories, all the things that you heard in your life, all the things that were recorded in your unconscious mind. Now, every time you get stirred just a tiny bit, and I don't want you to let it get big, because if you let it get big, you might drown in it and won't be able to pull yourself out. I want you to get it right in the heat of the moment, right when it starts, when it's a 1 or a 2 out of 10. It means you still feel it just a really little bit. Now, there's another element. When you just feel it a really little bit, it's much easier to get out of and much quicker to get out of. When I tap in the heat of the moment at this point, it takes me maybe 10, 15 seconds and I'm done. I don't even remember what it was I was tapping about anymore. So every time you feel just a tiny bit of triggering, right away, go ahead and tap in the heat of the moment. Now, in the course in Udemy that I gave, I tell you to write down all the attributes of it, how you feel it, how you know you feel it, what color it is. You don't do that when you're tapping in the heat of the moment usually. I was only telling you to do that in the course so that you would be able to see the changes. When you're doing it in real life situation, when something bothers you, something triggers you, you feel it, you know that it's starting to grow, but you don't want to grow, on the spot, you do A, amazing, B, beautiful, C, courageous, D, delicious, E, extraordinary, F, fabulous, G, great, H, honorable. Grab your wrist, breathe in, blow out, and go peace. And then you test to see, does that thing still bother you? Generally, if you caught it right at the beginning, it's not going to bother you anymore. And then you just continue on with your day. Now, at the beginning, every time that it happens, and it will happen a lot at the beginning, you do it. So you might feel it 30 times a day the first day. You might feel it 30 times a day for the first week. But then by the second week, it might only go down to 25 times a day. And by the third week, to 15 times a day. By the fourth week, to 5 times a day. And it's like a subtle sort of thing. It's sort of like, you know how sometimes you bang your finger and it hurts and it hurts and it hurts, but every day it's getting a little bit better and you don't quite notice it's getting better until suddenly one day you're like, hey, it doesn't hurt me anymore. So that's the way the tapping in the heat of the moment works. It's like at first it's like that big bang really bothers you, and it gets better slowly but surely, sort of like subtly, until finally out of nowhere you say, oh, that's not bothering me anymore. Now, let me explain the connection between that and manifestation, okay? When you're talking about manifestation, the first step is to release any fears that you might have about it. Why? Because when you have a fear, what you're really focusing on during the manifestation is your fear or your lack of it. You're not actually focusing on what you want. Or, let's rephrase that, while you're focusing on what you want, in the back of your mind, you're focusing on the fact that you don't have it, or the fear that you're not going to be able to have it. And when you have that wobble, the unconscious mind or source energy or the universe or God or whatever it is that you're believing in that's going to fulfill your manifestation says, well, I don't know what to do. You're saying they want it, but those folks, it's not what you want, but it's what you're focusing on. And you're focusing on this and this, this and this, this and this. It creates a wobble. And that wobble doesn't quite allow you to get what you want. When you clear that wobble, when you clear that fear, and you get to the point where even though nothing has changed in your life, you're no longer triggered by it. You know, all is going to be well. Everything's working out for me. Everything is going my way. Only after that point will you begin to see the manifestation. So you first have to get rid of the fear. You have to get rid of the wobble. You have to get to that point where, regardless of what's going on outside, regardless of the fact that nothing has changed outside, you still haven't earned any money, you still haven't found your lover, you still haven't gotten your big house, you still haven't gotten a new car, but you know it's there. It's okay. It's right over there. I just heard a story yesterday from Mind Valley. I can never pronounce his name. Sorry about that, Vishni. I really just have difficulty pronouncing your name. Where what he says is this. Let's say someone borrows you $1,000. And he tells you he's going to pay it back for you in a week. And he doesn't pay it back for a week. And then 2 weeks pass, doesn't pay it back. 3 weeks pass, doesn't pay back. And then suddenly totally disappears. And in your mind, you kind of already lost that $1,000, even though it's a lot of money and whatever, but you feel you already lost it. And then after 3 months' time, he comes back, your friend, and says, look, I'm really sorry. I got into some financial difficulties and I couldn't pay back, but I know I have to. And here, I already sent the check in the mail. It's going to arrive to you. Here's the number and everything. Now, the check hasn't yet arrived, but you know it's there. You know it's going to arrive because you now trust him. He's given you the number of the FedEx that's sending it, bringing it over. That's the type of feeling you have to have for the manifestation to actually occur. That you know it's there, you know it's on its way, you know it's coming, you are so sure about it that there's no doubt in your mind that whatever it is that you're manifesting is going to be there any moment now. Now, another great way to help it along is to prepare yourself inwardly. Prepare yourself with what you need, what you want. So for instance, if you're living in a really snowy area and you want to get a new car and you know that snow is a problem in terms of the windshields, go out and buy yourself that snow scraper for the car because you know you're going to get the car, and if you don't get the car, then if you don't have the snow scraper, you won't be able to drive. I can tell you that when I wanted to manifest my first DSLR camera, the first thing I did was I went out and I bought a remote control for it. And my kids looked at me and said, Mom, why are you getting a remote control? You don't even know what brand of camera you're going to get. And from my point of view, it was like, it didn't make a difference what brand. The fact that I'm going out and buying the remote control means I know I'm getting it. Now, the truth of the matter, the remote control that I got didn't really work for the DSLR that I bought at the end of the day. But it didn't matter to me because I got my DSLR camera, and that was the important thing for me. So once again, become the person from the inside. Do the things that that person who has what you want would be doing. Dress like they would dress, feel like they would feel, and the manifestation will come. But no doubts, you know it's coming, you know it's in the mail, you know it's on its way, and that's all there is to it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope this helps you on your manifesting journey. I know that for me it made a very big difference, living in the moment, living in the as if. I'll give you one more short story, which is actually pretty cute, and that is we used to have like this big pool in my terrace because my children liked to swim in the pool when they were smaller, and it wasn't like a really enormous pool. It basically reached me up to my hip when I went inside of it, but it was around 3 meters all around it. And not that I really have this great aspiration of having a pool in my yard, but there's something to the idea of having a pool that you can, it represents rich people, it represents people who are affluent. And so I bought myself this big float, like a chair, which had a hole in it where I could put my iced coffee or my fruit shake into it. And when my kids were swimming around, I would sit in that float with my sunglasses and my shake over there, and I would just sit there and enjoy as if I was in this big, enormous pool, and it didn't make a difference to me. I enjoyed myself. I loved it. And slowly but surely, as I did all these things, my level of affluence went and rose. And that's the way that it works. Have a great day from Ilana Michelson at IlanaMichelson.com.